guys don't look at this.
Okay,
She's like,
good.
she was my ex-brother, sister-in-law. And so I still stay close to the family, so I see her all the time.
Well, that's good. Hope the prices.
Well, my ex-husband's wife is like that. She didn't have anything to do with his family.
How's the hip?
His family.
Oh. See on the camera?
Yeah, she's right on the grass. Yes.
We want to welcome you to our city commission meeting. We ask that you turn off or silence all cell phones. Meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 7 p.m. and at midnight. First off, we want to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by silent meditation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to have a presentation to our outgoing mayor, Mark Pricing.
Highlighted the evening.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for your dedication to the city of Leavenworth, serving as mayor for 3 terms and being on the commission for almost 10 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I had said earlier, and I still mean the same words, it's always been an honor, it's been a pleasure to serve the city of Leavenworth, serve with the commissioners, serve with the city staff. It's just an honor that every one of us on this stage will probably have it, or 4 of the 5 of us on the stage has already had, and 1 will have it probably next year. And to serve citizens of Leavenworth, it's a worthy duty. There's upsides and downsides, but for the most part, it's very much a worthy duty. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
Next item on the agenda, old business, consideration of previous meeting minutes. This requires a motion.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from our meeting on the 8th of January.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
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 Motion carried, 5-0. Next item on the agenda, new business. This is open to the public, citizen participation. If you have anything that you would like to address the commission with, anything that's not on the agenda. If not, moving along. Next item on the agenda, review of property of demolition, 202 Potawatomi.
This will be handled by our city planner, Julie Hurley.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a review of a property that was previously placed on the demolition list in June of last year. It's located at 202 Potawatomi. At that time, when the commission heard this item on June 26th of 2018, they voted to grant an extension to October 9th to allow for the completion of repairs. This property is registered on the Kansas Register of Historic Places, so as such, it does require a review by the Leavenworth Preservation Commission. The Preservation Commission first reviewed this property at their July 11th, 2018 meeting and instructed the property owner to commence repairs prior to the City Commission's next review of that. The Preservation Commission again reviewed the property at their October 3rd meeting prior to the City Commission reviewing this again. The property owner was not in attendance at that meeting, so the commission at that time directed staff to send a letter to the property owner requesting that he submit a plan for his repairs and a time frame for completion, which he did, and that is included in your packet. So the Preservation Commission again reviewed this property at their January 2nd, 2019 meeting. At that point, the asbestos shingle siding had been removed, revealing the tar paper. As you can see up there, there is some of the original lapboard siding that was exposed as part of that work at that time. At the January 2nd Preservation Commission meeting, the owner stated that he does have an application in with the state of Kansas for some grant funds to complete this project since it is a registered historic property. So at that time, the Preservation Commission recommended that he get all the tar paper removed prior to this review by the City Commission meeting, and then that he be given an extension by the City Commission meeting to get through the February 8th hearing in Topeka for his grant funds. So as of the writing of this report at the end of last week, all of the tar paper had not quite been removed. I'll get to the most recent picture. This was as of the 17th, so you can see a fair amount's been removed, but there is still some there. So staff would recommend that the owner be given a 30-day extension so that he can have his hearing on February 8th in Topeka for the grant funds. And then we can revisit it at that point and find out what his plans are for completion of the project. So if you have any questions, I can answer those, and the owner is here as well.
Julie, I have one real brief
Sure.
one. Is the tar paper over the lap siding?
It
or
is.
under?
It's over the lap
Okay.
siding.
Ms. Hurley, or maybe you know, if he is successful in getting the grant funds, he'll know on February 8th whether he's successful or unsuccessful.
That's my understanding, but he could probably elaborate as to what the state's process is for those grant funds.
Do you know what the state's process is?
I do not.
Okay, I'm just
Or
curious.
if Mr. Giles would like to speak.
What do you mean by the state's
Well, it says here that your application is going to be considered in Topeka on February 8th.
Yes, it is.
So you know yay or nay on February 8th?
I pretty much know here and there right now. As I was stating, I want to keep it like historical, but I can easily throw vinyl siding and new windows or whatnot. You know?
So, well, I guess my question is, because I know that we've discussed this quite a bit, probably, we've been on it for 9 months or so, that we've been back and forth. If you do not, let's say your grant, you do get a grant from the state, they provide you money or something for historical redoing. If they don't grant you the money, let's say they deny the request, what happens? What are your plans then?
I'm still doing what they ask. They want to see some progress, so I show plenty of progress with one person, and that's what I'm doing. So, to me, I don't even know why the house is still on the demolition list. According to the city, it's gutters and some siding. And I still need to remove some of that tar paper, but I was telling the city, that's like insulation for now. I could have removed it any time, but they wanted it out, so I took some of it off. But going that high and it's real slick and cold outside, I didn't go too high. So I got that side and the whole second area around it, but right there I kind of stopped. And I actually did that right after the meeting, the second. So I just got some more to tear out.
Once again, my question is, if, let's say Topeka denies your grant application, is it your plan still to continue on the house?
Yes, my plan is still.
How much more time do you need? Because we've had this discussion for 9 months, and back in June, you were going to have it done in 60 or 90 days. And then October came and we extended and you didn't come, so.
When I first started, y'all said dangerous structure, and I didn't think it was dangerous, but I fixed it anyway. That was that side veranda over there. So the dangerous structure is out of the way, and I thought that was the meat of the project. Now y'all saying gutters and siding, and y'all still got it on the demolition list, and I still don't understand. But regardless of whether I get the grant or not, I still got some plans I'm gonna do with that. But this is February meal, and more things I can do with it. Because I still want to put a deck over the top of that porch, and do it the right, how it was in the beginning. And that's what I'm kind of focusing on. And when I talked to y'all like 9 months ago, I pretty much told y'all February they had a hearing, and that's what my pretty much goal was. But y'all kept saying 3 months here, 3 months here. But I have been completing like I said, y'all can see some of the stuff I completed, and I mainly left the bottom like that, where it's green and primered,
Right.
to show y'all what it can look like. But like I said, it's just me, and if I got one day off, I'm doing what I can, the best of my ability. So there's been a lot of progress. Like I said, the city only showed y'all pictures after the cleanup, but it didn't show. I think I sent y'all pictures with the fire, pre-fire. Yeah. So so it was that, and before that was the sidewalk. So like I said, it's just one me, not a corporation or many people. So I've been doing what's needed, and so far, all I needed is like the gutters and maybe complete the siding. And that's
Don't want to interrupt, Mr. Giles. My question is, regardless of what action Topeka takes on February 8th, either yay or nay, your plan is still to continue, or...
yeah, that's correct. My plan is still to continue.
And then regardless of what happens February 8th, when do you expect completion?
Right now, that seems that it's real cold and it's kind of hard to work on the siding with siding and paint or whatnot. I'm saying as soon as the spring, as soon as it starts and gets a little warm, that's when y'all see a jump of everything. Because in the beginning, I told y'all it's like cosmetics mostly. The structure and everything's good. And like I said, Topeka walked through it and said historic, and y'all just looked at it and said demolition. So again, there's a reason why they said it was historic, because they walked through every room in there. So now, like I said, I can complete it. I don't know about completing everything, but completing to y'all like gutter and siding shouldn't be too hard, throwing up some gutters around it. And I think that's what the last two things on the project is. And that, to me, that's not criteria for demolition.
Okay, well, thank you.
So if the commission decide to grant the 30-day extension, you'll be able to have a better idea when we come back and revisit it, moving forward, what steps to take next?
Yes.
Okay.
My question is there any reason to have it continue to be on the demolition list?
That's a
I
good
went by the
question.
house the other day, and I can see all the work you've done on it.
Yeah.
I'd like to go through and see the inside too, by the way, sometime.
And I had offered that early, too.
Yeah, I'd like to do that sometime, because I like the historic houses, but going by there, you can really see the difference, especially on that back porch and the front there, and it looks very stable. That's why I'm wondering if it still needs to actually be on the demolition list.
Well, I'll let Julie talk to the demolition list. I would say that the demolition list has probably saved Mr. Giles considerable amount of code violations. He hasn't received any code violations.
That's correct.
Since we
Okay.
put this on the list, and if you could see that now, he would probably be in court about every Thursday.
Yeah,
If he
because
wasn't
it
on the
would be a
demolition
code
list,
violation,
because
but-
there would be multiple property maintenance violations. So I think he's done well with this part, and I'll let Julie talk to that.
Okay.
Yeah, the remediation agreement that Mr. Giles was given back when this process started listed out the items that needed to be completed in order for it to be taken off the demolition list. And just to kind of remind everybody that the demolition list criteria are based on state statute. The criteria that we use are specifically from state statute. That exact language is in the statute. So the items that we had listed out were to replace the roof, repair and replace all exterior siding and walls, repair and replace all soffits and eaves, repair and replace all guttering, repair and replace all windows and doors, and remove all peeling paint and repaint the entire exterior structure. So the porch that was added was not necessarily part of that list. So some work has been done, but a lot of those items still have not been checked off of the list that we compiled to take care of all those criteria.
Yes, sir.
The porch was like part of the veranda.
It was
this is
all
fire
in.
damage. Yeah, it was coming down.
Yeah.
So I straightened it and added, that was the whole veranda. And as part of it was that roof and that whole structure. So that was a dangerous structure.
Yes, sir.
But, I mean, Mr. Giles did sign the remediation agreement.
He did not sign it.
He did not sign it?
No.
Okay, but this is what
Yes.
we said needed to be done in order
Yes.
to get the property off the demolition list. And you've been making steady but very slow progress, and you kind of laid that out the last couple of times you've come to talk to the commission. But the fact remains, the gutters still need to be replaced or repaired. Siding, I believe, and needs to be gone to completion, and then the peeling paint and repainted. So there's three major things, and so I am not in favor of taking it off the demolition list at this point. In fact, I think he benefits by having it on the demolition list. I can approve an extension. I don't know if it's 30 days. I'm not sure about 30 days. He's not going to get the work done in 30 days, but.
Well, no, that's the actually,
To
see if you get the approval on the grant.
Yeah. And
Yeah, so it'd be springtime, yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
And can I ask what you mean by major? What's the major? Because I thought the veranda was major. And so I'm asking, what was the major work?
Well, if I use the term major, I'm just saying there's three things. There's gutters, there's the siding and the paint and the peeling paint that need to be brought up to the city's standards. And that statute from the state talks about unsafe and dangerous structures, but it also refers to blight, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's correct.
And that's the issue here. So that's where I think we need to consider an extension, and I would agree with Mr. Dedeke, 90 days would be good, and then hopefully it's done by then.
The remediation agreement, I know that you didn't sign it, but it was given to you, is dated June 22nd, and it specifies those points that have to be done. Also, you have a letter to Julie Hurley on October 22nd saying that you're going to do this. Doesn't exactly say when. You said siding work will begin when Caitlin's demo completes removing the asbestos siding, and it's been a couple months since then. I don't know why they haven't done it since then. But but I'm in favor of giving an extension too, but keep in mind, I don't want to say, I feel like I'm getting played here a little bit, but I just want to make sure we're not. But as the city manager said, if we did remove it from the demo list, you'd probably be in court on every Thursday for code violations. So it's actually helping you that it is being on the demo list. But we're hoping that you get it done. I know you've got a full-time job, everything else, and this is, a passion for you. And we're hoping for you and for your neighbors that it gets done quickly.
And like I said, I'm not here to play with anybody. This is my grandma's house. I don't play when it comes to her, definitely. But I'm just trying to keep this and put it together. And it's been pretty much long journey. Like I said, it's me. That veranda area and that front area, that costs some money. Like I said, it's just me. And although I got a lot of people backing me, especially my mother, Geraldine, like I said, we got a plan pretty much, but like I said in the beginning, we're waiting on that. See if that grant comes through. I think, yeah. So basically, I'm not really saying I can't do it if I can't do it, but it'll help me out on more things that I want to do with the house. And my last thing with Caitlin's demo, I was telling you, they were supposed to take that shingles off in July. They didn't do it till like end of October.
So like you got a problem with the business owner, and there's probably other business owners you can deal with.
And I'm gonna have pretty much a problem with a lot of people, as I said. I think I said that to y'all in the preservation committee, because I have small projects. The people that I deal with bigger projects and put mine on the back burner. So, and then I got to find the right person, because I'll start to do something, do it right. I'm just not going to throw it up there. I'm going to find the right person and, and just do it the right way.
So what is the recommendation? We looking for 60 days or 90?
So the thing is, overall, we're actually trying to look and see if he's going to get approved of the grant. If he get approved of the grant, does he get removed off the demo list?
No.
He still remains on
It
the
wouldn't
demo
make a
list?
difference.
So I say we just revisit it, 30 days extension, to see if he's.
Why keep dragging them back down here?
I think
Well,
90
let's-
days. I
90
think 90
days?
days, yeah,
Okay.
because
90.
the preservation at the state is more difficult to deal with sometimes, and
Okay.
I would say 90 days.
90 days?
Yeah. But one thing I'd like to point out, just I think for all of our edification, and correct me if I'm incorrect, Mr. Kramer, that let's say we give you 90 days and you have it substantially, while it's on the demo list, if you go to any bank now and say, can you give me a couple grand to help work on this, they look at the property and say it's on a demo list, they probably won't touch it. I can't speak for all bankers, but they're pretty reticent to give loans on properties that potentially could be demolished, or if they do give you a loan, it'll probably be at a very high interest rate. So if 90 days, if it's completed enough that it takes care of what's on the remediation form, and we take it off, but it still has a lot of that, you could end up with a lot of code violations, which could cost you some money going to court, because code enforcement would cite it, and then you'd have to go to court to defend it, and the judge would say, that's a $100 fine or $200 fine, whatever it might be. Just make sure you understand that. Am I correct in what I'm saying there, Mr. Kramer?
Yeah, I can't speak to the bank propensity
Yeah,
to give loans. That's been brought up in the past, for sure. And I think you'd want to see if you did give an extension, regardless, continual progress.
Yeah.
I think the balancing act here is the preservation of our history, balancing with the neighbor's rights to not have a structure that is in a state of remodeling, renovation, but it's been that way for a long time. So the neighbors in the neighborhood does have to, when it's done, I'm sure it's going to look beautiful, but right now, as you can see, that would be a blighting influence on the neighborhood.
All right.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we grant a 90-day extension to the 22nd of April, 2019, to complete repairs to 202 Potawatomi.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Bowder.
Aye.
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 Motion carried 5-0.
Good luck, Mr. Giles.
90-day extension.
Hope you get your grant.
Yeah. All right, next item on the agenda, bids, contracts, and agreements. Item number 4, consider bids for mini excavator for streets department.
This will be Curtis Marks, our operations superintendent, will handle this item.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission.
How you doing?
Pretty good. I just want to present to you a request from the Public Works Department to consider the approval of the National Co-op bid through Sourcewell for the purchase of a 2019 Caterpillar mini excavator. Street Division is budgeted for a mini excavator in the 2019 CIP budget. Street Foreman Becky Beaver has prepared the bid specs and researched options for purchasing the Mini X. And after reviewing available purchase options, department staff chose to utilize Sourcewell national pricing under the statutory authority of KSA 12-2901 for the cooperative purchase. The 2019 CIP funding was approved for $62,115, and city staff recommends the City Commission approve the purchase of the 2019 Caterpillar mini excavator for $62,076 from Foley Equipment. City Commission can approve or reject the bid, and the city purchasing policy is intended to ensure competition in the purchase of goods and materials by the city. Purchases done under Sourcewell national pricing meet all the steps required for competitive bids and the proposal in the City of Leavenworth purchasing policy.
Any questions or comments among the commissioners?
Is this a, obviously, it's a new piece of equipment. Is it replacing an older piece of
It's
equipment?
the same thing, yeah.
We actually had a grader, a road grader at one time, and we got rid of that, we sold that. But the Mini X is something that's been long needed for stormwater and for the street division to do ditch work and stormwater work.
Looking at the features, it seems.
It looks really
like-
practical,
Yeah,
yeah.
a little, pretty flexible and pretty multifunctional. So what type of, just all types of projects that would be used on within the city?
Again, stormwater, all of them.
Smaller stormwater projects, removing tubes or working on inlets. Backhoe is too big many times, and this is a more effective and efficient mobile equipment that can assist us with our small work crew, typically of 2 people doing small repairs. The road grader was a pretty useful piece of equipment in its time, but it's the sort of equipment that we're not using in today's environment. Those types of projects typically are getting contracted out.
And I'll also mention as well that with a Mini X, you do have tracks, which are better for terrain. The other pieces of equipment have wheels. So.
Yeah. And this has a standard warranty for this type of?
Yes, it's a 2-year warranty, I believe. Should be a 24-month, 2,000-hour premier warranty. Correct.
Can our service center service a tracked vehicle?
I'm sorry?
Can our service center do the maintenance on a tracked
Yes.
vehicle? They
Yes.
can, okay. Do we have any other tracked vehicles in town? A couple skid loaders or something probably?
Yeah, we have a track loader, a Bobcat with
Okay,
tracks.
yeah, okay, so they don't have to do it. If not, Commissioner Griswold can he can change a track on a tank.
Well,
so.
as a former armor officer, I'm really glad we're adding a track vehicle.
Especially when you bust one.
As long as you don't call me for the maintenance.
But I thought Commissioner Preisinger said we could call you.
I'll be able to
right there,
Okay, so.
All right, this
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the purchase of a 2019 Caterpillar mini excavator for $62,076 from Foley Equipment Company in Wichita.
I'll second the motion.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
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 Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Consider 2019 sidewalk design contract.
This would be Mike McDonald again, Public Works Director.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this is a request of the commission to approve the design contract with BG Consultants for the 2019 sidewalk project. This is a continuation of work that we have done in previous years. You'll note that the project has two parts, Part A and Part B. Part A are locations that previous design contracts had completed plans to about the 50% or greater level. This contract will complete those plans and proceed to bid them out. Part B are new locations that we have not started plan preparation on before. The list covers both repair of existing sidewalks and installation of new or replacement of existing sidewalks. I can talk about the list of sidewalks, but I think that our sidewalk program has been focused through the efforts of the sidewalk committee to address the needs of the community, and we review with the sidewalk committee the commission's expectations at least annually, and these locations meet the goals of those discussions.
Mr. City Manager, will the sidewalk committee come in front of the commission sometime in the next couple of months to lay out a 2020 program? Or?
Yeah, we did it last year in October. We'll do it a little bit earlier this year to talk about where we're going for next year, but absolutely we'll be back again.
Okay. And tonight's not the night to get in, in terms of debating any of the locations. The only one I had a question about was Part B, the last one, Eisenhower Road, Hughes Road to 4th Street, and it's new on the north side. But like I said, that was the only one that kind of stood out to me. I mean, are there really a lot of, in that particular, I think I know where that location is.
It's from the west end of Hallmark down to Co-op. Yeah, on the north side there. And
okay,
good question.
Very good question, and I would suggest, based on some rumors, that we wouldn't do the part that is currently occupied by Co-op, but certainly there are a lot of people that walk and ride their bikes, take their kids around. And that's been our goal, is to complete large sections of sidewalks so people have places to walk.
That's fine. I just didn't know whether.
If you correct me if I'm wrong, as you go down east on Eisenhower, go on Hughes, which is the west side of Hallmark. That's where Hughes Road is, and you come down in front of Hallmark, and then in front of that open area. Leavenworth city limits actually end about 150 yards before 4th Street. Doesn't it cut out in the Lansing there? So it's just going to go down to that creek bed, basically, or that little
entrance to Home Depot, basically.
I'm sorry?
There's a drive entrance into.
Yeah, right there. And there's a little creek that goes down in that area. So that's where it's going to go.
Yes, sir.
So when the sidewalk committee comes in, that's when the city commission can make recommendations about where to implement
going
the sidewalks.
I think we review what they present. Yeah, and
recommend.
Sure, you can do that. You can do that at any time. If you want to submit locations to my office or Mike McDonald's office, the sidewalk committee meets pretty regularly, and they'll take those and they'll score them based on their criteria.
Okay.
And so they'll go through the process. So at any point you want to send in sidewalk locations, please do so.
Gotcha.
But, Mr. Mayor, just the way when they do review with us in September, October, July, whenever it might be, that's after they have met and done all of their deliberations. They're basically presenting to us at that and said, this is where we think the money should be spent next year after all of our careful study and deliberations. So for us to say at that point, no, I don't think you should do that. Why don't you look at this one? We probably need to do that way in advance.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, so if you have any ideas, run it by them. But they have a set of criteria which they'll explain to us. And
we went over that last October.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
Well, I just didn't know that the particular road that I talked about, that sidewalk was as heavily trafficked with pedestrians.
There's no sidewalk there right now.
So, but that's why I asked the
Yeah.
question. I wasn't questioning their judgment or anything
Well,
like
I'd
that.
almost question that one, good. I've hit some golf balls over there, but.
Yeah, right.
Mike, what's the total expenditure for the sidewalk
I
program?
believe it's about 300,000 per year or so.
About 385,000.
Thank you. And the engineering would come out of that.
Yeah, but don't you think that engineering's a little high for flat work?
It's more than flat work. There's, got to figure out how to address driveways and stairways. You're evaluating all the ADA ramps and designing. The ADA requirements have really increased the complexity of the engineering as you cross the streets and as you cross alleys and driveways. And where do you go and how can you get there? It is, all the easy, send a crew out with a couple 2x4s in the spring, all those sidewalks have basically been done at this point. There might be a piece here or a piece there that a skilled crew could do something with, but you can't count on those people getting the bids for the project.
And B&G is the only one that we allow to do this?
We selected BG Consultants from a solicitation from a variety of consultants. We interviewed several firms at the time, and they were found to be the most recommended firm based on their experience with sidewalks and urban environment. They're different than the firm we had used prior. Name escapes me at this point. And the opportunity was there to move ahead with I believe several years of contracts before we solicit qualifications again for engineers.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? At this time, I entertain a motion.
I move approval of the agreement for design engineering services with BG Consultants for the 2019 sidewalk project in an amount not to exceed $49,600.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Ballard.
Aye.
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 Our motion carried 5-0. Next item on the agenda, consider purchase of refuse truck.
Our operations superintendent gonna handle this one too, Mike? Curtis Marks?
Are you going to talk this one?
Public Works Department is presenting to you to consider authorizing the Solid Waste Division to purchase a refuse truck consisting of a Freightliner M2106 chassis and Cobra Magnum Packer body through Sourcewell National Pricing in the amount of $192,743.31. Background is basically the equipment replacement schedule has 1 of 5 units identified for replacement this year. The 2019 Solid Waste Division budget included funding in the amount of $190,000 for the replacement unit. Specs were prepared to include the cab chassis with a tandem rear axle and setback front axle with a 25-yard rear. Bids include a 5-year warranty on engine and after treatment and an extended 3-year warranty on the transmission. The finance is basically a 2010 international model, a 7400 SBA with a 25-yard capacity Easy Pack G400 compaction unit in usable condition with approximately 90,000 miles and being traded. Staff recommends the City Commission approve the purchase of the 2019 new unused truck cab and chassis with refuse compaction body for $192,743.31 minus the trade-in value of $48,000 for the 2010 International 7400 refuse truck. The City Commission can either reject or approve the bid, and we hope that you give us your blessings.
Question or comments?
Is this something that's on like the manufacturer's floor, or did we have to put our designs, specifications in and?
I don't know if it's on the manufacturer's floor, but through Sourcewell, we can go out and basically identify which unit fits best for our needs and make sure it meets our specs. And
On large trucks like this, they're pretty much custom built. They're within certain limits of options. There are types of things that some cities will want on their trash trucks to load different types of hoppers or things that we don't ask for. We don't ask for snowplow attachments and that sort of thing. So they're rarely an off-the-floor item, but they are a standard manufacturing type thing. The problem is it's a long lead time, several months typically.
Well, once it's ordered, it'll be several months before we can get it.
And we were pleased to see the trade-in value as substantial as it was there. So our goal is to ensure that trade-in value survives the time until delivery of the new truck.
Yeah. We allocated in our CIP last year, what, 190,000 for it, for a new truck, and we're actually getting it for 144, so that's
correct.
46,000 we're returning to the coffers.
And there was actually a little bit of fluctuation with the price due to the economy, China, steel prices, so on and so forth, so that affected it somewhat, so.
Any other comments?
I'll go ahead and move that we approve awarding the purchase of the refuge truck to Elliott Equipment in an amount not to exceed $144,743.31.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
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 Motion carried 5-0. Next item on the agenda.
Real quick question, Mr. Marks, are you hanging around till the end of the meeting?
I can.
Could I have questions for you at the end of the
Okay.
meeting? That's fine. It shouldn't take that much longer.
Next item on the agenda, consider sole source purchase of GraniteNet software upgrade for WPC.
Mike?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, this is ongoing maintenance, if you will, of our software for our TV and equipment that we use for the sewer lines. Our equipment is made by Q's, and the software that they use is named Granite XP. And as the XP implies, that's related to the XP computers that are no longer supported by anybody anywhere, and they are bringing out a new upgraded software that does offer substantial enhancements over the existing software known as Q's GraniteNet. And this is software that is used as we TV inspect our storm sewer lines. Some of the key advantages of the new software are with the enhanced wireless capability that the IT department has constructed at the treatment plant. The data can be uploaded automatically, which saves several trips during the course of a week of they bring a disk up or a memory stick up to City Hall, give it to the GIS department, then they take the blank one back with them, get it in the truck. That should eliminate most of that. In addition to that, it helps, the information is integrated into our GIS system, reducing staff time on the part of the GIS staff to do that. And we've been televising sewer lines for, in a meaningful manner for certainly over 25 years. And we are able to find pictures and records and information much more effectively. And now, since we started using modern software several years ago, and we expect this will simply continue to improve that.
Good, yeah, good.
And you're probably, Mr. Staples, you're probably thinking, why did I have to come here tonight?
So we do request that the City Commission look favorably upon this and approve purchase of the GraniteNet software for our wastewater.
Is there, how many, I mean, generally, how many computers will this software go on? Just the ones in Chuck's department, or?
Enough to operate at the wastewater plant and integrate with the GIS system,
Okay.
Which has been all we've needed to date. I suspect it's more robust than that, but that's what we ask, that the price instruction.
And the equipment that we have, the information technology, the computers will be
Right.
new enough to handle the new software?
There's the computer upgrades in here too.
Yeah, this is everything that we need.
Okay.
This is computer and some
And the software?
Computer and software.
Okay, I didn't realize that was hardware included with the
Yeah,
software.
there's a new computer coming with it.
Okay, I got it.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the purchase of the GraniteNet software from Q's in the amount of $37,242.
I'll second it.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Bowder.
Aye.
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 Motion carried 5-0. Next item on the agenda, consider sole source agreement with Unicode for recodification.
City Clerk Carla Williamson will handle this.
Now, Mayor and Commissioner, this item is for the recodification of the city's code. During the 2019 budget process, the commission approved $33,500 for the recodification of the code. So the issue is a sole source agreement with Unicode for the recodification, supplementation, and online hosting for this service. Unicode has provided service and code service to the city for over 40 years. So they're very familiar with our code, and so that's why we felt the sole source was appropriate for this situation. Our current code book hasn't been completely recodified in over 23 years, and that's really a long time to go between codifying and doing a complete review of the code book. So what this will entail is during the course of the year, I'll bring certain things to the commissioner, we'll update portions of the code, but this will take it like from cover to cover and look at it. Part of the service that Unicode does is they provide legal review of the code as well. And so they have a team of attorneys that will look at that, and they also bump it up against state statutes to make sure that everything that we're looking at is following state statute as well. The estimate that is before the commission this evening is for the codification and the cost of $35,160. That does include codifying the 2018 ordinances, the things that were put in place during 2018 by the commission, and we do that each year, and it costs anywhere from, depending on how many ordinances are adjusted or amended or deleted or added, kind of drives that cost. So it's anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 per year. So they've estimated about $7,000 to put those into it. So the first step is to get those put in to the code that we did in 2018, and then we'll start the codification process. So that is included in that amount before the commission this evening.
In terms of the larger effort to upgrade the codification, does that have, we're not going to wait another 20 or 23 years to do that. So is it like every 5 years we should be looking at that?
It should be done. There's a couple of things that should be done. There should be a legal review of the code done every couple of years. Okay. And that kind of helps it stay, more uniform. And then I would say I think probably every 10 years is probably better to do a recodification as long as you're doing those legal reviews.
Each year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion if there's no other comments.
I move to approve the sole source agreement with Unicode for the recodification of the Code of Ordinances in the amount not to exceed $35,160.
I'll second.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Barsinger.
Aye.
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 Motion carried 5-0. Next item on the agenda, first consideration of ordinance. First consideration of ordinance rezoning 600 Shawnee and 621 Seneca.
So again, our city planner, Julie Hurley.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. This is a request to rezone the property at 600 Shawnee Street and 621 Seneca Street from CBD Central Business District and R16 High Density Single Family Residential District to RMX, which is Residential Mixed Use District. Property is commonly known as the Immaculata High School, and the adjacent vacant property to the north, the vacant lot is off of Seneca Street. The building was constructed in 1922 and was listed on the National Register of Historic Places as part of the downtown Leavenworth Historic District in 2002. The Planning Commission first reviewed this at their October 1st Planning Commission meeting in 2018, and at that time they requested that the applicant add parking in the vacant lot at 621 Seneca Street. The main concern in reviewing the project was that there was minimal additional parking added, and the members of the First Christian Church adjacent to it had expressed some concerns that residents of this property might be using the city-owned lot that a lot of the church patrons use on the weekends. So the rezoning is being requested to convert the school building into a total of 38 apartment units. There'll be 37 one-bedroom apartments and 1 two-bedroom apartment units. And then the gymnasium portion will be converted into a gym or group fitness space, as well as some additional dividable commercial space. The proposed uses are allowable within the central business district zoning. However, the CBD zoning prohibits residential uses on the first half of the first floor of a building. And the applicant is intending to convert the entire school building into residential uses, which is why they need the rezoning to RMX so that they can use that entire building for residential units. So again, the Planning Commission's main concern was the parking. The total required parking for the project is 108 spaces. Since the applicant added the additional parking on that vacant lot located at 621 Seneca Street, there are now a total of 47 spaces provided on-site with an additional 35 on-street spaces adjacent to the project and 34 spaces in the adjacent city-owned public lot for a total of 116 spaces. There are some provisions within the development regulations that allow for a reduction in required on-site parking, and that would be for properties in a mixed-use district or in a historic district, which this meets both of those. So in reviewing this proposal, the Planning Commission felt comfortable with the on-site provided parking as well as the other public parking that's in close proximity to the project. The Preservation Commission also did have to review this project since it is a registered historic property. They reviewed that on August 1st, 2018 and voted 5-0 to approve the proposal. The Planning Commission last considered this item at their January 7th meeting this year and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of it. At that meeting, there were several members of the First Christian Church in attendance, and they indicated their approval with the added parking and felt comfortable that that would satisfy the needs of the apartment tenants and not conflict with their use of the public city-owned lots on the weekends. So if you have any questions, I can answer those for you now.
I mentioned about them not being here tonight.
Oh, yeah. The architect was going to be in attendance to talk a little bit about the project due to the weather. They decided not to drive in from Kansas City, but we do intend to have them at the next regular meeting when you all consider this for the second reading, just so they can talk a little bit more about the project and what it's going to bring to downtown Leavenworth.
Mr. Hurley, I have a couple questions on the parking lot. The current parking lot that many people always consider the IMAC parking lot, which it never was. It was a public parking lot,
Correct.
but most IMAC students park there. The new property where there's going to be a lot is directly west of that green space. And how many spots will that have? 35?
That'll have 35 in it.
35, okay.
That's correct. The city-owned lot that most people consider the IMAC lot has 34 spaces. The lot directly adjacent to that has an existing shed and is owned by a private owner. The 621 Seneca that's as part of this request is just to the west of that shed. So there is city lot, shed, and then.
And so that'll be a private lot.
That'll be a private
So
lot
it'll be-
for the use of only the residents of this
So
project.
I know that the building isn't complete, but if I'm a regular tenant, where do I normally enter the building to get to my unit?
It's my understanding that they will have entrances on both the front or the Shawnee side, as well as that back side off of the alley.
Oh,
Since
not just, there's a big one on 6th Street too.
Yeah, and I'm honestly not sure. I believe that will remain open as well. The entrances that are currently there should remain open, but there will be a primary entrance off of the alley for residents who are parking in that lot that's provided back there. It will be well lit and safe for those tenants.
I can see some potential conflicts coming up with First Christian Church. If people are residents there, if my door to get in is, 15 feet from, quote, the IMAC parking lot, and it's a public parking lot, I'm going to park there on Saturday night and through Sunday, and maybe some other people will too, and then.
Sure.
So those are I don't know that we'll have to referee those. I hope we don't, but, there are obviously plenty of parking for all needs there, but how it's distributed, could be a little bit of an issue, but not for us to consider tonight.
Sure. And I will say that the church members who spoke at the planning commission meeting indicated that they, again, did feel comfortable with it and felt like if there are some parking conflicts that arise, which there probably will be from time to time, that they felt comfortable working with the management of the residential units to resolve those. And the architect indicated that they would, do what they could to let their residents know where their, designated parking is and keep them out of that public parking as much as possible.
Thank you.
We have consensus to move this forward?
Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, consent agenda.
Okay, the last time that I was a claims reviewer was like 4 years ago. And at that time, I had to come into the office and there was a stack like this. I had to leaf through to find out the pertinent information. And now Ruby just sent me this 5-page document, which I just went through, and everything looks good. So claims, and I had a couple questions, but I got those answered, and everything is great. So claims for January 5, 2019 through January 18, 2019 in the amount of $983,186.58. Net amount for pay number 2 effective January 18, 2019 in the amount of $336,779.25. Includes police and fire pension of $11,572.36. This is a motion.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Ballard.
Aye.
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 All right, motion carried 5-0. Are there questions and comments among the commissioners?
I have
Yes, sir.
some,
Go ahead, Mark.
Mr. Ballard, you go ahead if you'd like. Go for
Well,
it.
I will, but I just wanted to say that this afternoon I attended a session where Colonel Sutton was speaking from Fort Leavenworth. And we were asking her about what it was like to come here. And I mean, her position with Fort Leavenworth is similar to our city manager position here at the city. And she said she was told, you're going to hear a lot of people complain. And she said, what I found out was I hear a lot of people who want to make our community better. And so it's something for all of us to think about when we get calls about things. That's all I have.
My comment, Mr. Marks has multiple jobs in the city, but tonight his most important job is probably the snow boss. Why don't you come up and tell us what's going on? Let me look out the window first. Yeah, what are your plans?
Good idea, good idea.
And public is watching too, so.
Yeah, well, I'd say it's typical weather for Kansas. We are in the middle of winter, so what we're dealing with, I think I would advise all residents to be extra cautious during this time of the year. We can't hit everywhere at once, we just simply don't have the manpower, but,
What are your plans for tonight? What do you
for as far as
what do you
tonight,
have deployed?
specifically for tonight, we've been deployed since about 6 o'clock. We did pre-treat, we had to wait until the rain dissipated. Once it dissipated, we did pre-treat because it doesn't make sense to pre-treat in the rain. So once that happened, we moved into plow mode. We wait till we get an accumulation of about an inch, and then we start plowing our emergency snow routes and our, what we call hot spots, our dangerous areas, overpasses, hills, such as that. But, and then once the snow finishes, we'll go through, make a final plow, get it down to pavement, or not pavement, we don't have a pavement policy, a clear pavement policy. But we'll minimize the snow on the road, and at that time, we'll do a final treat, wait for it to slush up, and then try to remove it at that time.
For this, what you're expecting tonight, are you using any
The weather-
contractors or all?
We were just discussing that prior to the meeting. I think what we're gonna try to do is just, it's one of those wait and see, we really don't know yet. We do have them on standby, but to hit the emergency snow routes in the hot spots and residential is quite a toll on manpower, so we'll make that determination here within the next couple of hours.
Okay.
And you have like an operations center active at the.
Sure,
maintenance
command center at the
support
service center,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Good.
That's all I have.
Any comments? I know that we're actually looking forward to purchase a leaf truck. Before we move forward with that purchase, I want to know if we can actually have a study session and talk about the leaf program.
Sure. That's good.
All right, well, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.